I'm not really sure how this is supposed to work, guys, but I'm pretty sure that you're supposed to like and share these videos so that they can get spread because I can't do this myself. Um, I think that we have something important to say, all of us, every one of us. There is nobody whose voice is worth more or less than anyone else's. And I'm inviting in this process, I'm inviting spokespeople to step forward for groups that have been marginalized, the LGBTQI plus community. I love you guys. I see you. As an asexual myself, I understand at least part of what it's like. I mean, at least I blend, and blending is the key to getting by in this society. And I'm so very grateful to those of you who refuse to blend in. Don't shine, shine. Be the multifaceted rainbow sparkles that you are because you're beautiful and you bring beauty into this world and you're valuable. And the mental health community, so many people, they're hurting. And not just pain, like, oh, like this sucks and this, pandemic sucks. And I mean, it does. But imagine if you've never had mental health issues before, if this is your first bout of depression because of COVID, and COVID depression is a real thing. This is going to become like a permanent disability for some people. Some people are going to carry this with them for the rest of their lives. They are never going to get past the PTSD that this year has brought us. And so COVID depression is going to become a category of major mental illness. So if you're feeling badly depressed right now, reach out to someone because we all are. And it's important to share that pain so that it doesn't kill us, right? Get your pain out. And I mean, as you know, having been misdiagnosed as schizophrenic and drugged with stuff that didn't help me and actually been made psychotic by the drugs that they gave me because they thought I was being psychotic, I can tell you what a stigma it is to carry that, right? So I went through this whole thing. It was a nightmare. I was in an institution for months when I was a kid trying to work this all out because I'm hearing people's emotions when they speak. And I try to communicate back what I'm hearing and they think I'm crazy. And it's actually a kind of autism. It's like a kind of emotional autism that so many people have. And I'm not the only one where I see what autism is, and let's actually go into autism because that community, they're so unfairly treated too. And what an autistic person really is, what that child in front of you who is nonverbal or who only communicates in color, like they love to draw, they love their color, and their drawings make you feel, their colors make you feel because they're trying to communicate their feelings and they can't do that with words. And so, autistic people in the fields of music, art, science, and God help us, religion. There's been a few, like truly emotionally autistic people in religion. And so where I'm going from there is also prophets, right? So imagine you're a 14-year-old girl, been tossed all over the place, baptized Catholic, spent some time with Catholic family, raised by an incredible melting pot of people. My grandmother was a German Jewish refugee. My grandfather was a Native American spirit dreamer and a veteran, and he did so many things. He was an incredible person, and he was so full of stories. And my mom was an atheist, and my father's family was Catholic, but I didn't spend a lot of time with them. And in the way that I needed to keep a connection with them, I started studying religion because they were very religious people and I was being raised by non-religious people and I didn't understand. So I started taking people's religious stories and doing the same thing, like mining them for real truth, right? And so in the process of all that, I've studied world religions. I've got degrees of study in several world religions, and there's a whole video about that coming up. But what I'd like to say that I feel is that I'm doing with these talks, it's a kind of Zen gospelizing, right? I'm not telling you anything Jesus didn't tell you. Be kind. Just be kind. I'm not telling you anything that the Buddha didn't tell you. Be kind. In all things, just be kind. I'm not telling you anything that the prophet Moses didn't tell you. Take care of yourselves. You're important. You are the vessel of kindness in this world, and that's necessary. The world needs you. And so, that's what Deuteronomy is all about. It's about all the ways that they had to take care of themselves back then. They didn't have refrigerators. They didn't have a way to sterilize wool. They didn't have a way to bleach cotton. And so the thing is that, don't mix, let's talk about don't mix textiles. Let's talk about actually why. And the reason for that is that wool is very coarse and scratchy and gross. And raw wool is hard to wear. It's, when you can't wash it properly, when you can't clean it, it's uncomfortable. So then they would line the garments with cotton. And cotton it's absorbent and it's wonderful and it's free, but it doesn't keep you warm. So when you make a garment that's wool on the outside and cotton on the inside, you get those beautiful robes, the priestly robes of the of the Jesus era, um, rabbis and just the people in general, and you could do that. But the problem with it is that when the oil isn't cleaned out of wool and you add it to cotton, what happens is you get a greasy, nasty mold. So don't mix textiles. If you don't mix textiles, that won't happen and you'll be fine. Don't eat pork. Guys, do you know that it wasn't until the 1980s, and I mean 1980s, that they finally perfected a way to get all of the parasites out of pork, right? If you grew up in the 60s, you had to cook pork until it literally disintegrated to make it safe to eat. So, of course, Moses told people don't eat pork. It's full of parasites. It's going to kill you, right? Don't eat shellfish. If you do not clean and properly cook a shellfish, it's poisonous. Like, don't eat poison. So Deuteronomy had its place, but the thing is that we've overcome those difficulties, and it's time to set that aside and stop beating people over the head with it. And so, in the process of trying to teach people how to do this, how to communicate all of the beauty of religion with each other without hurting each other, I came up with this thing that I call Zen Christianity. And it's a place where, and I don't use Christianity. Now, let me talk about Christianity for just a minute. I'm not talking about some organized religion. I'm talking about being Christ-like. I'm talking about bringing your kindness into the world. Give people kindness. Suffer the little children. Love them. you know be kind. That all Jesus told you was to be kind and love each other. He did not tell you, please take my words in the future and put them in a hard-bound book full of nonsense spouted by some king who wanted to force you all to do what he wanted. And instead of taking that book and bashing people in the face with it, just be kind and try to understand where people are. And in order to do that, you have to learn to speak different languages. And so that's my autism. Languages. I languages. Words. I live. My head is full of alphabet soup. It's always full of words. And in any situation, I can easily pick out the words that I need most of the time to communicate what I want. Okay, I say easily, but sometimes it takes a minute of reflection and laughter at myself like this for the thought to actually clarify. So, basically I'm sitting here, gospelizing, but it's Zen gospel. It's like the gospel of kindness and peace. Kindness and peace. But there's got to be a third thing. And so the third thing is Jainism. And if you guys have never heard of Jainism, I recommend you go on YouTube and check out Fireword Sparkler. She's a beautiful young Jane, and she's the one who showed me what they're really trying to do. And it's all about compassion. It's about genuinely not doing any harm to anyone, not to yourself, not to the world. And they have something called right living, where you take all of your kindness and you actually give it to the world, and this is how they live, and it's beautiful. But when I tried to do that, I was unbalanced because I really needed to remember my Christ-like compassion, or my Christ-like kindness, and my Zen-like peace. So kindness, peace plus compassion, this is what I do. And it's just taking different languages. It's looking into the way people say things versus what they're trying to say, and clarifying with them exactly what they mean and why they mean that. And when you do that, when you tell people why they mean what they say, it's a moment of clarity of like, oh wow, I've really been a jerk. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to do that. And so I just thought that I don't remember where I started about being kind, like the fringe groups, right? So religious groups are also fringe groups, but they don't think they are. Like some of these religious fringe groups, these crazy groups of like 150 psychos show up and start doing really evil crap in the name of God. And so one day I sat down and I wrote a letter from God. I did, and I'll read it to you. And I basically channeled God saying, I did not ever give you permission to harm anyone. I did not put you here to hurt people. I put you here to learn to work together so that you can become one being, one soul, one goal, and the goal is bringing kindness to the world. And so that's why I'm doing this. And to be honest, I don't even know where I started because I don't keep notes, but when I come into these, when I think of something important to say, normally I would type it out. And at least when it's typed out, I can read it back. But I want to invite you all to take this journey with me because, and why stand up? Why this format? Why make people laugh? Because when you make people laugh, you take away their pain. It's really so simple. The psychology of stand up is something beautiful, and you should really listen, even through the foul mouthed people, what they're actually saying. Because what they're saying is, you know what? One day I was walking around minding my own business, and some person came up to me and said, "You're not doing that right." What? I'm not doing what right? You're not walking right. How would you like me to walk? Like someone who's not gay. Well, but I'm not someone who's not gay, so now what? And basically you have to learn to stand up against those people by saying, but I'm not someone who's not gay. And you let them rant, but don't let it hurt you, because you have to realize that the crap they're pouring out isn't about you. It's about them. It's because when they were 6 years old and flouncing about like a fairy with their wings on, and they had a stick, and they were la 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 la, I'm a magical fairy, and granting wishes to all the blades of grass, and this beautiful little child out there, and someone whacked them on the head and said, "Stop that! You're a boy. You're not allowed to act like that." Or, this child that's like really into dirt and grease and wants to build things and gets in and makes bricks out of mud and wants to play in the oil and gets in the car and up to their elbows in grease. And now they're an airplane mechanic and covered in grease all the time. And somebody says, "Stop that." Stop what? Stop living your life. Well, why? Well, because you're living the life of a man, but you're not one. What? Like, why are men and women allowed to have different lives? Why am I allowed to run around like a fairy, la 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 la, and not get my hands dirty? And why is a man expected to carry all the weight of the world and never frolic? Like, it's not, and so this is about teaching people how to frolic and build at the same time. And so, I've got to go. I've got 100, look, I showed you guys in my first, I started this page during my first video. And it started up here with part 1, like I wrote this, part 1. Now let me show you what's happened to that notebook, right? These are all ideas that are coming at me at the universe. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that the point of all this is to mine your own life for nuggets of truth. Mine your own words for nuggets of truth. Mine the words of everyone you hear, see, read, listen to for truth. Mine every image you see for truth. And when you do that with kindness, what you find out is that the truth is the world is really just trying to be a kind place. And there are a handful of cruel people who would take that away from us and force us instead to put down our creativity, put down our kindness, and pick up a brick and build a wall for them so that they can keep out, people who are even worse off than me in this American poverty, people who don't even have a roof, they don't have food, they haven't had a shower, and that's their lifestyle. So when you look at the homeless guy on the street, and you're like, me, realize that for every homeless person on the street, there's a child somewhere in the world who has no home. So when you look at that homeless man, instead of judging his life, see his child, his inner child, because that he's hurt, he's broken, things are horrible. But the thing is that they find joy in that, right? There's joy. There's so much joy in the world because like this child down here living in the dirt, starving to death, flies crawling on their faces, eyes crusted with crap, their bellies bloated because they're starving. Their legs are like sticks. They can't stand up, but they still laugh and they still play. So this is about finding joy in your pain so that you can help other people stop hurting. So, I mean, I love you guys, and I love the Irma folks for teaching me that I can do this with humor. And, and to people like Leah Lamb for reaching into me and seeing the one thing I needed the most and giving it to me, and that is the right to speak. And to, the queens of your own life, you guys know I love you. I love you. And I mean, I'm like joke about calling you gods, but what I mean by that is that your morality is something that the world should be truly aligned to. And I think that people need to hear what you have to say and how you say it because you bring an amount of compassion and kindness and right living into this world. You're the most Jane people I've ever met. And I love you. And so I'm out. Don't know what's next, but I'll see you guys later. Ta ta for now.